It's so critical. So today, what we're going to talk about is something that Dana and I were like, I don't think a lot of people realize that you have so much negotiation power when you approach a seller to purchase their home, especially in this particular market. So this may not have been the case last year at this time, but now that we have changed a little bit and we're in the market that we're in, buyers have a bit more flexibility, don't they?
They do. It's refreshing.
It is refreshing and it's nice. And it's about time because those poor buyers got beat up for like 2 years.
They did. I know. We're sorry, guys.
We're sorry. It wasn't our fault.
Hey y'all, Katie here with Team Evo AZ at eXp Realty in the Phoenix, Arizona area. Welcome to our show, Real Estate Fitness, where we keep your real estate muscle strong by sharing tips and tricks to help you navigate the real estate world. Enjoy the show.
Happy 2023, everybody. We are back with Real Estate Fitness. It is Katie, Real Estate Katie, and my awesome, amazing partner in, I was going to say crime, but that's not true. My partner in changing lives, Dana. Woo! I need like an applause
good
button
today.
Hey, and welcome to Real Estate Fitness, where we keep that real estate muscle strong. We want you guys to know like all the terms and all of the things that you need to be aware of before you hop into, I mean, it's a major purchase, Danes.
It could be the biggest purchase of your life.
It probably is.
It probably is. So the education is so critical.
It's so critical. So today, what we're going to talk about is something that Dana and I were like, I don't think a lot of people realize that you have so much negotiation power when you approach a seller to purchase their home, especially in this particular market. So this may not have been the case last year at this time, but now that we have changed a little bit and we're in the market that we're in, buyers have a bit more flexibility, don't they?
They do. It's refreshing.
It is refreshing and it's nice. And it's about time because those poor buyers got beat up for like 2 years.
They did. I know. We're sorry, guys.
We're sorry. It wasn't our fault. But here we are to help you, again, keep that real estate muscle strong and have a good understanding of a broad understanding of what happens in a real estate transaction and how you can negotiate with the seller. So let's hop right into it. I have 9 things on the list, guys. 9 things, 9 ways to negotiate with a seller here in this market. And the first one is one of Dana's absolute favorites because I feel like all 1,005 million contracts she has right now has this. But Dana, speak to it just a little bit. You are getting sellers to pay for buyers' closing costs.
Correct.
Yes. And this is like what's the normal figure? Like what's the average amount?
It really depends on your loan type. So we have to just be mindful of that too. It really kind of all depends. Right now I have a buyer under contract with a VA loan and the max amount is 4% and we got it.
Awesome. And so that goes toward their closing costs. So that's going to be toward loan origination fees. That's going to be toward all their loan fees, I mean, I could pull out the list, right? All the loan fees, you guys know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. So that goes to pay that as well as prepaid items. And prepaid items are, for instance, your impound account for like your real estate taxes and your insurance and things like that. So sellers are footing the bill. And, I've seen like you mentioned 4%. I have seen like if we want to put that into dollars, anywhere between like 9 to 15,000.
Yeah. I think that's more around the 9 is pretty average, depending on the purchase price.
Exactly. Yeah, it depends on purchase price. The second thing that we're seeing a lot of, and this has been super popular over the last couple of months, with the rates being a little bit higher than what we've been used to over the last few years, is we have been seeing sellers contribute toward a rate buy down. Can you speak to that a little bit?
I love this.
Yeah, I know you do.
It's so amazing when you can tell a buyer, hey, what if I could get you 2% lower interest rate than what the current rate is right now? So like the 2-1 buy down, like you mentioned, Katie. So first year is 2% less than what the current interest rate is. Second year, it's 1%, and then it reverts back to whatever that interest rate was. And the goal is always to refi. And yes, right. This is all seller paid. And I mean, it can save hundreds of dollars. So still get you still have the ability to get into a home, but my gosh, if we could help you save, some hundreds of dollars, for the first couple of years, how does that sound?
Well, and that's awesome too, because especially, and you know this, especially with people who are not, who might be first timers or maybe haven't owned a home in a while, that first year or two, you're kind of getting to know your house, you're getting into the groove of being a homeowner. There might be expenses that come up, things like that. So it's nice to have that break in the payment for at least that first couple of years while you kind of ease into and figure out your place and, figure out your routine basically.
Maybe buy some furniture.
Maybe buy some furniture. Get the place cleaned, have a party. I don't know.
Exactly.
The third thing, and this is something that I've recently just chatted with a new buyer. You'll get to meet her. And we were chatting and she's like, well, I really want to start, but my lease isn't up for another 9 months. And I kind of want to move now. I don't know what to do. Like, blah, 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 blah. And I said, well, what about if we got the seller to pay for your lease break? And so that is happening too. So if you are out there and you're in a lease and you're in the situation that this lady's in, and you're like, hey, maybe we can talk to the landlord and we can talk with the seller and see how much we can get from the seller and what the landlord will accept. That could be in your lease too. Just depends. So we'll dig into those details with you, but we might be able to get you out of that lease early and not have you pay for it. So that's another thing sellers are paying for.
Awesome.
Yeah. Here's Dana's favorite, aside from closing costs. a lot of sellers are paying for repairs or giving credits toward repairs to include price reductions also. So can you speak to that a little bit? Because I know that's happening like all over town.
It is. So in lieu of repairs, if the seller's not willing to make that, you can also negotiate a price reduction. You can get a credit, that we can use towards some of these other things like we just spoke about. Yeah, which is great. So it's a really nice opportunity if that's an opportunity. It's a nice opportunity if it's a nice opportunity for you,
Well, if it's part of, if they're able to do that, it's really nice. And I call it the second round of negotiations. We've talked about this before. So the first round obviously is when you put the offer on the house and you get accepted and all of that. Well, that's before inspections, right? Repairs don't typically come to the table unless you have a, super comprehensive disclosure and you actually have that conversation prior to. Typically, you don't know what's going on with the house until inspections happen. And that's when you find out, hey, the roof's about to cave in. We got to do something about this. And that's when you can have that conversation. So it's really like round 2.
It's great. Yeah. Round 2.
Round 2. The fifth thing that sellers are paying for right now is prepaid HOA payments for an extended amount of time. So this is something that you obviously have to consult with your lender because like Dana mentioned at the beginning of the show, there is a threshold depending on what type of loan you have. There's a threshold of how much credit you can get from the seller. But oftentimes if the credit from the seller is paying for all of the closing costs and there's a little bit of money left over, I don't like leaving money on the table, Dana. I don't know about you. But we can push that toward prepaid HOA payments. So cool. Get your closing costs paid, get a rate buy down, save a couple of $100 a month on your mortgage payment, and don't pay HOA for like 6 months. Okay, just sign me up.
Sounds great.
Exactly. So speaking of HOA, there's also, so the sixth thing is along with that, typically HOAs will have what's called the transfer fee. And I've seen that be anywhere from like $100 to $500 is kind of average, depending on the community. I know in higher end communities, it can be a little bit different, but that is something that is negotiable as well. And I've been seeing sellers cover that. By law, sellers have to cover the disclosure fee. So that's separate from the transfer fee. HOAs and all their lovely fees. So fun. So that's separate from the disclosure, the transfer fee is separate from the disclosure fee, and that is something that can be negotiated along with capital improvement fees. So a lot of our neighborhoods around there, especially if it's a newer neighborhood, is going to have a cap improvement fee, or if they've got a big assessment coming up because they're going to paint all the houses or something like in a townhome community, they may have something that is assessed to the new buyer when they move into the community to help pay for that. And that's something, again, that can be negotiated with the seller.
Yeah. Yeah. Just got to ask.
Just got to ask. Or you just got to have awesome agents like Dana and I to tell you that it can happen.
Exactly. Education, girl.
Education and negotiation. That is like my favorite word, negotiation.
I know it is.
I know. I love it. It's my fave. Anyway, so moving on to number 7, another thing that we can ask the sellers pay for is a home warranty. And can you speak to that a little bit? Like, why would somebody want one, first off?
No, it just protects, some of the things such as your refrigerator. Sorry, my dogs are barking.
Okay.
Refrigerator, if that breaks, your washer, your dryer, those items that they can be big ticket items. My gosh, a refrigerator these days can be $5,000,
real.
So if you can negotiate with the seller to pay, even if it's for 1 year of your warranty, $600, $800, how great would that be?
Yeah. And a lot of times, especially like if it's got a older AC unit on the property or something, or, it's got a bunch of intricate pool equipment, things like that. I will always suggest, and even better if it's seller paid, right? But I'll always suggest to the buyer to get a home warranty for at least the first year, because again, you're figuring out your house, you're getting kind of into that groove, and it's really nice to just make a phone call, pay the $75 and have them come and replace your unit. I mean, that's not far-fetched. I've honestly had 2 AC units replaced from home warranty plans before. So yeah, I mean, so it's happened, and it was kind of cool because they bring the crane in. One of the houses was on top of the house. Anyway, lots of cool
project.
social media videos from that. But home warranty, definitely something to look at, especially if you can get the seller to pay for that. Number 8 is something that we could probably do a whole show on. And in fact, you might want to talk with Ryan about doing a Tip Tuesday on this, Dana. So if you haven't found out, or if you haven't followed us over on our YouTube channel, at Team EvoAZ is our handle, check out Dana's playlist, Tip Tuesday. They're between 2 and 4 minutes each Tuesday. And it's an awesome just tip about mortgage or about real estate. And she partners with our very favorite lender on that. Ryan Gilliam with Waterstone Mortgage. So I bet you he would have a lot to say about loan assumption. And basically that is, how there's a bunch of homeowners out there right now with super low interest rates on their loans? A lot of those mortgages, depends on the mortgage, depends on the situation, guys, okay? But a lot of those mortgages are assumable. So if I go and I buy that property, I essentially could assume their loan. And you're probably thinking, well, Katie, there's probably some other, you got to make up the difference between the balance of their loan and the price of the house, because most likely if they've been in their house for X amount of time and have a 2% interest rate, they probably have a bunch of equity. Yes. So you do have to take care of that second half. We're not going to talk about it here. Maybe Dana and Ryan will talk about it on their show.
Great idea.
But that is something that I have been seeing happening around here lately, is buyers are assuming the low interest loans of sellers. So that is a pretty cool thing. And that's not necessarily something like, I know we're talking about what sellers pay for, but that is another negotiation with the seller. So I've kind of lumped it in on our 9 here.
I love it.
That's an interesting one. And then the 9th thing, Dana's favorite, because she loves to sell properties on big pieces of land, like, acre properties and things like that. But the well and the septic transfer fees. Can you speak to those briefly?
Of course. They're usually nominal. They're not, usually huge fees. But again, I think it's great just to be able to ask the seller to pay for those transfer fees. If we can. I mean, every dollar counts when you're buying a home. So if we could save, $50, $100, I think it's wonderful to be able to help our buyers out.
Absolutely. That could be, a pair of curtains or curtains for an entire room.
You know it. Really, honestly. Yeah. So again, every dollar counts. So if we can ask for it, why not try and get it?
Totally agree. All right. Well, thank you so much, Dana. That was our nine things that you can negotiate with the seller on in a real estate transaction in this current market. Please do hop on over to our YouTube. I know I just mentioned it, but it's just so pretty and so cool and so organized. Go over and look at it and just humor me, okay? But everything that we do, all of our content, all of our buyer and seller education is broken into playlists. So go check that out. We are at Team EvoAZ. And if you are more of the audio version and maybe you run a lot or you drive a lot and you'd rather listen to us on podcast, then hop on over to your favorite podcast channel and do a quick search for Arizona Real Estate Radio. That's us. All right, Danes. We'll see you next time.
See you next time, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.